Oh, I didn't watch the 12. So y'all gotta put
That's fine. 12 didn't have too much more dates and stuff. There's one piece in the
Oh,
12
I
we'll get to.
recorded all of this. All right, I'm gonna stop the audacity.
That's fine.
Oh, cool.
How are audio checks with everybody? How we doing?
Yo, audio check, audio check.
Audio Czechoslovakia.
All right, you guys can start your recordings.
Starting now.
Starting later, so that it's harder for you to match up the voice.
I'm a professional. It's not my first rodeo. So,
wow. He talked about rodeos, and he's from Texas. I'm so aroused. I mean, interested.
Shout out to everybody who's here for the pre-show. A quick warning to everybody, and if you guys are here, anybody in chat, let them know. I am currently sitting in the middle of a thunderstorm like warning, and it's possible tornadoes, hail, and stuff like that. So hail, wind, that's going to happen. That's life. But if a tornado warning and my house sits in the perspective cone of the tornado warning, I'm going to depart and leave the podcast to my two co-hosts until things are done. Possible power outage. Yeah, if it drops, then obviously there's nothing you guys can do about it and the show will be done. But for now, hopefully we are okay. So I just wanted to get that out of the way up front. No guests, so your host. I gave a very vague background of the winds of Neomuna. And I think just past us, not bad. Nice. I think we're all recording and good. I feel like I'm not prepared. It's been a busy week.
It has been.
All right. Well, we will go silence on the set in 5, 4, 3.
All right. And we are live. The last word. LordCognito, Ebontis, Ty Guy Travis, fresh on Lightfall launch week. And there are thoughts. There are thoughts in the air. But before we get to those thoughts, the cheetah, how are we doing, sir?
Doing good. Been busy. Not sleeping that much, but that's how these weeks go. I still swear I sleep more than you guys sometimes, but that's just part of how busy you two are as well. But in general, so far, it's been quite a week and just trying to take in everything it's got. Been on my main class so far for a lot of this, and trying to see what subclasses and things are, and just kind of dive into everything we've got. And there's still more that I haven't even touched yet. So we will get into as much of the details as we've got to. There's probably 1 or 2 things I haven't quite at least seen yet, so this probably won't be complete. And then shout out to for those of you who are listening this week, next week, right before the raid. And once we've had a week to digest, we will be joined by Paul Tassie of Forbes. So it should be a good show. Catching him. He's actually not going to be able to make the raid, he told me. So he'll be kind of leaving the day
He
out.
never does the raid. He's not
going to do it live anyway, but I'm just saying, like, perk of being a journalist. You can, watch the raid on Twitch and write your articles from wherever you are. But just wanted to let you guys know that he will be coming next week. So.
He's a blogger.
Oh, damn.
He's a blogger.
Don't do my mans like that, dude.
I've met him, okay?
He's a blogger. I met him, too. We actually both met him. All of us met him.
Yeah,
Travis, what are you been
I
up
was
to?
on a show with him for years.
That is true.
Yeah, so it's been a crazy couple weeks for me. Last week I spent I traveled to Redacted to visit Redacted Studio and play Redacted game. It is March, but we have not yet announced the IGN first for March, and so I believe on is it storm time?
It's storm
time.
time.
You guys get started. The order that I want you guys to start out: Lightfall impressions, go 30,000 foot view, and then Cog. I want your big deep impressions first, and then Travis.
Okay,
let's go see what's up. You guys,
all right, cool. I got you. Be safe, brother. We got you.
Yeah. So yeah, I spent the time with that studio, and I was playing their game, and I think on March 7th, which is next Tuesday, we're going to reveal what the game is, and then I'm going to have a month long of coverage, doing a bunch of reveals. I'm revealing.
He forgot to mute his mic. This is gonna be fun.
Mute himself.
Yeah. I'll text him.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So I'm going to be revealing. Actually, I can't even say what I'm revealing because it would give away which game it is. But I'm revealing different aspects of the game and trailers and interviews, and I got to do the whole gamut. So it's going to be super cool. It's a game I'm super excited about, and a game that I wasn't excited about before I went and played it myself. So
So
possibly a sleeper hit this year. We'll see.
ooh.
And yeah, I'm excited for that. And then this week it's been all Destiny review stuff because I am reviewing Lightfall and been playing it a
Yes.
lot and getting ready for that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's busy. I'm doing stuff. I'm also working on my review after this. I'm already started on, which
Mm.
is Diablo 4.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm getting early access to that and starting to write up my impressions. So
Mm.
it's there's a lot of stuff going on in the life of Travis. Do I sleep? No, not really. I sleep like 4 hours a night, which I've always slept. It's not like painful for me. I just have a really low sleep need. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's been
Cool.
fun. And then yeah, it's been a crazy week for Destiny fans. And
We're gonna get into that.
how are you feeling about the expansion so far, Cog? I would love to hear your
Oh,
thoughts.
we're gonna get it there. First, before we get there, let me same as you. Like I've been,
Oh yeah,
extremely
yeah.
busy. I just came back from not too long from Houston for the Last Stand Media event, which was absolutely awesome. Shout out to everybody in that community that pulled
Can't
up.
wait till you guys post that thing publicly.
Oh my Lord, it was out of control. So we did the presentation, slideshow presentations each of us had to do for the most overrated game of all time. So that was interesting. Everybody had some really cool choices
Would
and
you
stuff like
tell anyone on here what it is? Or are you gonna? Is that gonna
that.
be a public one? I guess.
It probably will.
Okay.
They're still editing. They're still doing stuff. So it's probably going to go to patrons first. But it will definitely, you guys will definitely see it. So
Yeah.
I don't want to comment on it. I don't want to
Okay.
break any
Okay.
contractual thing just yet. But yeah, it was definitely really cool. Been doing that. A lot of traveling, a lot of prep for PAX East, which is coming up. And then yeah, it's just been a busy time, man. Shows, things going on. The interviews are like we all talked before the show. It's one of those things creatively where everything, a lot of positive things is going on, but it's just making me so busy and you can't really say no. So it's been just a struggle to find all that. But yeah, that's been it. And then obviously this game that we've been waiting for, this expansion that came out. So let me know how you want to roll. How we gonna handle this, man? How we doing this?
Yeah. So for those of you who may sound weird on my end, I am sitting in the middle of a storm warning right now. We just kind of checked the live weather update, my wife and I did, and it seems like it's mostly just high winds, which is causing the sirens to go off, which they go off for that now. So I'm just kind of going to be probably a little distracted, but hopefully it's just rain and winds. Not a big deal. But if I do depart randomly from the video, that's why. But before we get into kind of details of like story and thoughts on subclasses and weapons and all the things, I just kind of want to get your guys' hot take, early impression. We've all finished the campaign. So we are actually good with that one. And a fair warning to everybody watching this. We're going to do kind of a brief, non-spoiler, like really high hot take, 30,000 foot view, just general like yay, nay, how does this compare? Where would you might rank it in expansion so far from the early impressions? And then spoilers are going to be on for everything that we've seen so far. Now, we may ask each other missions if we've done them or not. But as for watching this episode, if it's part of the campaign, it's part of Lightfall, and it's part of that planet, probably spoilers are open after we give you guys a warning. So outside of that, Cog, I kind of want your take first of where are you post-campaign? Like how much have you done post-campaign? And also just kind of a general ranking. Where does this thing kind of stack up to the expansions? I feel like it's a decent place to start without giving too much away.
Yeah, let's do it, man. But before we start, one thing as an older gentleman, as you go through life, you have to realize and make recognition that when you are wrong, you have to admit it. And Lightfall, Travis Northup, you were correct, and Cog was wrong. And it hurts me not to be wrong, but it hurts me because I'm in the pocket of general concern for my beloved game. And sometimes there are examples in life when you can try to ignore the signs of something deteriorating, but if you're real with yourself, you have to say, no, something is wrong. This is not the company that just made arguably the greatest expansion, just past expansion, right? So let's get to the general impressions. The game, I'll start with the good. The very few parts that I liked. The game, it's beautiful. I love Neomuna as a location. I love the start of it. The start of it actually, because they gave us a little cutscene that we didn't see without spoilers, with a little additional context that I felt was really cool. And I think that the gameplay loop, it's classic Bungie. Shooting, tormentors were fantastic. You know what I'm saying? I felt the fear there. At first, Strand, I was a little lukewarm, I'll be honest. I was really worried. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna like Strand either. But there was a couple of stages, one called Headlong or something like that, where you as a training have to do it, right? And then it clicked, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting it, swinging, melee into something, grabbing the Strand. I started to develop a flow as a Warlock. I don't know how it is for the Titans. I just got to put that out there. As a Warlock, it finally clicked. But prior to that, it was very lukewarm and very blue ballsy. There, you got it, but But I will say, once I got that, but I will say the good, that's probably the extent of the good I can say. You know what I mean? The sandbox, looks absolutely gorgeous on certain things, but we just got to get to it. Like, this is very disappointing. I was very disappointed. I love Callus. This was just very, very lukewarm. Like, he didn't really even need to be there. And part of me was just like, what was his real role? I also was actually a little disappointed with the Witness. And I will say the main disappointment is what kind of especially you, E, you've always been, like, Lightfall needs to have weight, and I want to know what the stakes are and how we go to get to final shape, right? This didn't move the story in any major capacity. I know less or are the same at the end of this.
I would say less.
Like, what happened? Like what happened? This is D1. And the stat part, this is like D1 narrative energy, because it's confusing to me that this was signed off on and said that this story, and then the character development, not that great. The Cloud Striders look cool. Shout out to Silverhawks and Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, I know your Silver Surfer itch there.
Shout out to that, but it just didn't hit, y'all. And I am concerned. I am concerned that where do we go from now? Because this was such a fumbling of the ball. Like, man. So, we'll get into the spoiler part. That's just my impressions. I still love the core gameplay. I still had enjoyment with the quality of life stuff is really excellent. I forgot to mention that. Quality of life stuff is really excellent. The mods and stuff like that, being able to configure what you got to configure. But from a narrative, I play Destiny from a narrative standpoint to see what it's. I know why it hurts. We waited so long to get to this moment, and we learned nothing. We waited 10 years, 10-year plan. We learned nothing except, I ain't gonna spoil that part. Somebody walked through a door. I'm gonna just say that. And that's about it. So look, that's it, Trav. I apologize, my brother. I was living off of the hope of, not the hope, but the added elevation that they got towards Witch Queen. To me, when they got there, I'm like, there's no way. Like, this is what they just made one of the Mona Lisas. There's no way. Even if I knew it wasn't going to be better, I didn't think it was going to be this. And to your last question, Eve, because I didn't answer your question, which was the ranking. Man, first of all, this is nowhere near the top tier. Let's just put that out there. This is no Witch Queen. This is no Taken King.
I mean, I would just go D2 right now.
Okay, cool. No Forsaken. No Forsaken. You are not near Forsaken at all. Now,
Beyond Light, Witch Queen.
I think I may have it above, and I like Beyond Light. I may have it above Beyond Light only because I didn't like Aramis, but I like Clovis. It's tough. Like, you can make an argument that this is the worst D2 experience. You literally can make. That's how teetering. The only reason why I'm willing not to go there just yet, because I feel. With Addict, I was talking like Shadowkeep had a lot of reused assets, and this gave us a new location. This gave us at least the Witness being around, and it gave us a new power. So I know Beyond Light gave us that. I just didn't like the Aramis end. It was too much. But I can see people who say, hey, yo, Deep Storm was fire, Cog. I like Clovis, Cog. I can see people say that. I think I may have it over Shadowkeep, so it may be second to worst for me.
All right.
So that's
exactly where I am.
Do you guys hear a siren, by the way, at all coming through? It's pretty low, and I can hear it through my ear because my window's open. I just want to make sure. So.
No, you golden. You golden.
Can't hear it.
All right, Travis, you're up.
All right. Well, first I'm gonna say, Cog, stand-up guy. This is why we're friends. And I will also say that I am also hurt because being wrong in this case really sucks. It does not feel good. I don't feel validated or like braggy or like look at me. I was worried about it because that's kind of how I operate. I'm a worrier, and I have trust issues stemming from a non-sexual incident that happened as a child. That's a joke. And
this got real.
Like,
this podcast is no longer a Destiny podcast. All right, cool. Yeah, awesome.
No, it's just that's what I do, right? I worry, and I was just seeing all the warning signs, and so when people say that they're Destiny fans and that they're worried about the game, or that they think other people should be worried about it, or that they've seen a preview and that the preview was underwhelming, you should believe those people. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't mean that you have to think that for you it's going to be bad or whatever, but you should at least, if they're like not acting poorly in the community, they're just like your friends speaking to you, your peers. I'm a Destiny peer for all of you people. You should at least say, well, that's not a great sign, because I was willing to give Witch Queen high marks and agree with everything Cog just said about Witch Queen. This isn't it. And I think the writing was on the wall for a long time. And I would like this to be an opportunity where maybe I can just give a PSA and say, Destiny community, you need to normalize criticizing your game. Like the actual Destiny community, the core people, because obviously lots of people criticize Destiny, but I feel like in the Destiny community, there's a little bit of tendency to be defensive and to simp for a game, even when it has very obvious traits that it could easily improve, that it needs to improve. And I think that there's a tendency to just not do that and accept the status quo or whatever you've been given and say it's good enough. And I think that we really need to move away from that. I'm not saying we all need to hate Destiny. I still love Destiny, even after Lightfall. I still love it as a game. But people shouldn't have to put prefaces before they criticize the game. They shouldn't have to say, look, I don't want to sound toxic, or, hey guys, you guys know I'm a fan of Destiny. I see streamers do that all the time on Twitter, where they have to preface criticizing the game at all with, I'm not trying to create a toxic thing. You shouldn't have to say that. It should be pretty clear that if you play the game and you're a fan of it, that you're acting in good faith. And I didn't really go into it on the show, but the DMs and the reaction I got from the community for saying that Lightfall was going to be bad was really bad. It was super toxic. Yeah, people were reaching out to me on Xbox and Twitter and just being like, I guess the check didn't clear for IGN and all this crap, right? And it was really disappointing to see that underbelly of the Destiny community, because the Destiny community I would describe as one of the better communities. And I think that the reason that they react so aggressively when somebody criticizes the game is because they're trying to keep positivity going. And I totally get that. As a community, you don't want to become like a toxic, negative community. And Destiny has flirted with that at times, the Destiny community. But there has to be a happy medium. You have to be able to like raise the warnings alarm and actually believe those people, or at least believe that they're being genuine, that they're not just lying to be a dick or whatever. I don't even know what the argument was, but I just want to say that before anything else happens, because I'm not happy that Lightfall is underwhelming. And I'm not going to say it's bad or mediocre or okay, because people are going to look at the IGN score rubric and think that I'm scoring it early. I'm not going to say any of those words. I'm just going to say simply it is underwhelming. And I think across the board, people agree on that. I think that people you should have had expectations about this game, and I really doubt those expectations were met. I'm with Cog on a lot of the stuff. I would even go a step further. I think Neomuna is lifeless. I think the fact that they filled it with a bunch of fake humans, digital outlines of creatures, like a rough draft schematic of a video game, is embarrassing. I really do think it's embarrassing. It looks like it was made in Halo Forge. It does not have very good textures or a well-designed city. It's like it's made out of Lego bricks or something. The story is really bad, appallingly bad, to the point where there were 2 big reveals in the game, and I predicted both of them from miles away because they were incredibly obvious and foreshadowed in a really like just cringy way. I think that the new characters they introduced were bad, and I think the old ones that they brought back were taken down a peg in terms of my respect for them. They kind of made Osiris annoying again, a bad character, just like they did in Curse of Osiris. They made me like him less after all those years of building goodwill with him. They built him up and then sort of tore him down. Pretty much everything, even Strand, honestly. And the reason I would put it below Beyond Light is honestly because Beyond Light had the advantage of it being the first time they'd done this. The first time that they had a kind of in between, this doesn't feel like the full game, but at least we got a new subclass. This didn't even have the novelty of that. It felt like we were getting Stasis again, right? They just did it with a different color and couple different powers. The Strand subclass doesn't really feel good to me. The fact that you don't have a grenade kind of hurts a lot. The grapple hooking is only good when you're traversing, and then as soon as you have to actually sit down and do combat, it's just not a replacement for a grenade. It's just not going to be meta, right? And I saw hunters melting things with their super, but I don't see it being serious in in-game activities. And yeah, man, I'm super bummed about this. And I think it's clear what happened here, right? Like, I think at this point we can all agree with my theory. My theory last week, and I think I said it before, but my theory was that Lightfall was supposed to be the end of Destiny. I think they couldn't make it in time. They pushed it out a year, and they moved all that content they created to the final shape. And then they said, all right, well, we can't have a 2-year gap, so we need to make something really quick and give it to the players now. And they used a whole bunch of content that they had partially built out but not finished. For example, Strand, which was, according to leaks, supposed to be a part of Witch Queen. They threw that in there as part of this expansion. I think they went back to a bunch of shelved ideas and were like, let's shove as many of these into a half-baked expansion as we can and ship it. And I'm really, really hopeful that they didn't do the same thing with the raid. I'm really hopeful that they didn't do the same thing with the raid, because I have no idea what to expect with the raid. But yeah, I was right about a lot of my predictions. I don't feel great about it. And I would just say maybe this is an opportunity where we can learn as a community that, Destiny isn't a perfect game. We don't have to treat it like it is. We can all still be friends. But here's the thing about friends. Friends are honest with each other.
There you go,
right?
brother.
And you have to be honest about the game and the state. And when you're disappointed, say you're disappointed. And guess what? I guarantee you that this is not a surprise to Bungie. This reaction is not a surprise to them, because I could tell by the way they previewed the game and the way they demoed it and their messaging after the preview event that they were not confident in this expansion and that they saw this as a stopgap measure to the final shape. I'm really hoping that the final shape is great, because it sounds like they need an extra year to work on it, and I hope that work pays off. But they probably would have gained more by skipping this expansion, because I feel like they really killed a lot of the hype and momentum for Final Shape. Because now we've got, even the Witness is undermined as a villain. The whole thing with the Traveler and the waiting for a year feels super weird with the stuff that's going on with the door that was open and all that other stuff. So it feels like if they skipped this, they would have been in a stronger position for Final Shape, and it's super disappointing. Also, yeah, the Lightfall was not an apt name for this, and it was very clear that they just kept the name that didn't match, right? Like this was originally a completely different expansion named Lightfall, and they were like, well, we'll just keep the name and we'll call the next one Final Shape. So it's crazy, man. I'm very disappointed, but that's
No, I want to dig deep. I know he's going back and forth, but I want to go back before we get into the spoiler-like territory in the sense of, I've been wrapping my head around, okay, how does this happen, right? How does this happen? And to your point, I do agree with you. I think that they knew internally what they had probably wasn't as strong. And the question becomes, okay, we're not going to we're not truly going to advance the story in any way. But why do you think they couldn't delay, right? Because if we've seen in the past when they've had similar situations, and they, hey, look, guys, we gotta push Witch Queen back. And I think, I'm trying to remember how long Witch Queen got pushed back for a while.
It got pushed back like 6 months, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah,
like,
and it truly benefited. It truly benefited. We saw the fruits of that, and I'm wondering. And again, this is going back into I got to listen to Travis' bag of theories now. I got to go back to your older theories, which is, why they're under the pressure to feel the need to not delay this if they weren't narratively confident. And again, I'm not going to go all the way, but it just, I am confused by that. Like, why not
Yeah.
give yourself time?
Well, I think they probably delayed because they announced the final shape a long time ago. So I think they didn't have just 9 months, the 9 months since Witch Queen or whatever, the year since Witch Queen. I don't think it was like that. I think they delayed it a long time ago and they'd already done a bunch of pre-work on what would be the final shape and how the saga is going to end.
Mhm.
And then they sort of were like, we probably have enough time to flesh this stuff out. And I think it got away from them. I think the
Mhm.
reason they probably didn't delay is they're probably on a pretty tight schedule to finish this game because, as we pointed out, the engine is aging. Their tech and kind of the platforms that they're supporting they're in a weird spot. So I don't know if they want to wait there. They could have delayed, but that wouldn't have solved the problem of they've got the final shape coming out soon, and that it should have been 18 months, but I don't even know if they delayed it another 6 months and released it this fall, if that would have fixed it. I'm
Right.
just not convinced it would have. So I think the reason they put it out, the reason they felt like they had to, is because they are sort of becoming a victim to the live service model. And I hate to say that because I'm a big supporter of the live service model and people crap on it all the time and I defend it, right? But in this case, the live service model worked against them, I think. That's my theory, right? Is that like they saw the players and they were like, we can't just skip a year. We have to give them something. That's the expectation. If we skip a year, we have a chance to get our knees taken out from us by some other competitor, or we'll, player count will drop. And I think they've not only become a prisoner to the live service model with this expansion, but I think all the seasonal stuff they're doing it feels like a person forced to kind of chug out content and maybe at an unhealthy clip. I also wonder if the pandemic and the fact that the remote had anything to do with it. I'm not a game developer, but the game developers I've talked to have said that game development is one of those things that really is harder to do remote. Bungie is new at doing it remote. Ever since they went remote, we've seen kind of the number of bugs skyrocket. I don't know if that's just because of velocity where they're not getting to QA in time, or if maybe there are repercussions of not having everybody in the office, hoorahing around kind of a common cause and being able to tap somebody on the shoulder. My day job, I work with a team that's remote, and there's significant drawbacks to being in a remote environment. So, yeah, man, I don't really know